Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and I'm here with my guest, Jay Washington.
Hey, when you said I was going to be sleeping with Sarah, I was thinking something else completely. Mine went a completely different direction. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, word? Okay. And then I came here. Oh. I almost brought DVDs, everything. Nah, I'm happy to do this with you again.
Thank you. Yeah. How'd you sleep last night?
What is that? I don't sleep.
You don't sleep at all?
I nap.
You nap?
I don't sleep. I didn't drop yesterday till, this is a comfortable pillow, is why I kept it here.
Yeah.
I didn't drop yesterday till about 3 this morning, and I was back up at 8.
Oh, wow.
Like 7:30, 8
So you got like 5 hours?
If that sometimes. And then because I wake up in the middle, because I thought I set the timer on my TV, and clearly I didn't. And so I barely sleep.
Yeah.
It's a bad habit I have. But I'm just go.
Yeah. So it's just like up all night, like writing or just...
Everything. So as you know, as a stand-up, so when I'm done with my night from shows, however many that is, I still got, whether it be auditions I got to do, whether it be voiceover auditions, I still got emails to send, emails to schedule to be sent. I still got stuff I need to do to jump ahead of the next day because everything is me. Mm-hmm. Besides having my commercial and theatrical agent, I don't have... Like, I'm in talks with someone right now, but I don't have, like, an official manager or comedic agent. So everything is me. You know, we're on a trial base. We're seeing how to go. But still with that, I'm like, I got to have stuff done and doing things. So I'm steadily trying to work and just keep planning in advance. So there is no, like, days. When I say no days off, there literally aren't any days off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because, like... Every day is a lot of work, yeah. And also there's probably a little time after you get off stage, you still got a little bit of that high from like audience or whatever to come down before you get back tired.
You know what? It varies. For me, it literally, like I know we talk about that a lot as comedians, like the high of getting off the stage all the time. It depends. Some shows, I'm just like, all right, we're done. Mm-hmm. This is done. Other shows, it is definitely a high. Other shows, I'm like, yo, my adrenaline's still pumping, and so I'm trying to find something to do. Typically, if I'm in that Los Angeles area where we are, I'm like, all right, cool, it's still early. I could probably try to hit someplace else. That is my train of thought all the time.
Yeah, that's always, because the only thing is LA ends kind of early compared to the other cities, compared to New York or Chicago.
As far as because it's got to play catch up with the other cities time wise.
Yeah.
So like in New York, you can do shows all night.
Yeah.
You know, Chicago pretty much stops at about 10, 11 o'clock as far as getting on shows, but it just varies really.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you're from.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you've been out here a minute now.
It is officially 8 years. It'll be 9 in December.
Oh, wow. That's
9 years. 9 years in December. Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, 9 years in December. I don't know why I had a hard time doing math. It'll be 9 years in December.
Yeah, it's all right. I think especially because COVID and everything, it just throws everybody off. It's like, oh, you've been here this time, but it feels like less.
Well, so here's the thing for me during all the COVID time. I stayed working through the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
I was working.
You were traveling.
Not even really traveling. I was producing shows on the internet, so I was still auditioning. I was still booking stuff. I was still, whether I did a couple podcasts. I did a couple of virtual stand-up shows, which I hated my life for.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I was shooting pilots for different networks. I was doing stuff consistently. So while a lot of people like, oh, I lost out on 3 years, which a lot of people did, I didn't.
You never stopped.
I never stopped. So that's one of the things. Like, the only thing that stopped for me was being on stage regularly. Yeah. But for the most part, one part of the job slowed down. I just picked up on another end.
Yeah, exactly. You got to find something. Everyone had to find some project or something to do because it was just nuts.
Oh, of course. I mean, a lot of people learned to bake bread for some reason.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
I never did. I never went through the bread baking phase.
It was a lot of sourdough and banana bread created for no reason. People, I don't know how to make sourdough. Why? Well, for me, like I said, I had the time, so I did do some painting. But at the same time, I just was like, I cannot stop work. I was already feeling bad like a lot of us were, because I felt like I'd made so much progress with so many things, and then COVID happens and I felt like all of my progress was gone. But I had to tell myself, well, how can I continue to move forward and elevate in a moment where the world is standing still? Which, don't get me wrong, I feel like I probably should have learned in that moment when the world stands still, it's telling you to stand still. But I felt like I can't, because I'm trying to prove who I am and what I do and where I belong. And so I just kept working and working.
Yeah.
I am the literal definition of a workaholic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I live with a workaholic, so I understand. Mm-hmm. My partner's the same way. Be waking up at 5 a.m, take phone calls and do stuff. It's a lot, you know. I think if I didn't have the narcolepsy, I might be more of a workaholic. But I think my body really needs sleep at some point. Yeah. So that's probably the.
I mean, everybody's body needs sleep. Don't get me wrong. My body needs sleep. There's been days where my body has shut down on me. This past Sunday, I was out doing my brunch that I do with a group of creatives and stuff, my blurred brunch we do. But then I had to do 2 episodes of 2 different podcasts I'm on back to back. Mm-hmm. And I had to do that back to back. And then it was just like the energy, because we go live with one. So making sure not only what we're recording is fun, but I'm always trained to go through this camera.
Yeah.
I got to go through this camera. Yeah. So that energy going out, and for 2 of them, I was done, and I had to come home, and I was trying to write on something, and then I dropped what I thought was 30 minutes, and my body got back up, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not going out.
Yeah.
So sometimes that happens.
You got to give yourself a rest sometimes. Like, I mean, for me, I will physically just fall asleep if I do it too much, you know.
Yeah.
But that's why I am a fan of naps. You said you're a big napper.
I'm not. I mean, I try to now. You know, I try to in the midst of my. So, for instance, we're doing this. By the time I get back to my apartment, it's gonna be like tomorrow because of traffic. Going back, yeah, it's gonna take a day in traffic. But no, by the time I get back, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
But if, like, once I check my phone, my emails, like, all right, I got to respond to this. I got to edit this. I got to upload this. I got to cut this. I got to record this. I got to do that. If I don't, if I have stuff that's on, like, a deadline, then the nap probably won't happen. Now, I might try to squeeze it in. Keep word is might, but it's no guarantee.
Fair. I like your Spider-Man pajamas.
Thank you. I had these Miles Morales with my Miles Morales socks. I'm a nerd, so that's the thing. But I remember I bought these.
Spider-Man isn't even a nerdy thing. Like, my niece and nephew, one's about to be 5, and my nephew's 3. They love Spider-Man. They have different costumes that they'll wear. They love Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is a nerdy thing. Here's the thing. It's just that now Spider-Man, especially the movies, the Across the Spider-Verse movies.
The cartoon.
All Spider-Man's been around, comic books and stuff been around for God knows how long. But for a long time, I wish people understood this. For a long time, if you read comic books, watched cartoons, or just was into your studies, you were a nerd, you were a geek. Mm-hmm. Nobody rocked with it. It wasn't until the past 10, 12 years. No, I would say...
Do you think it's because of Big Bang Theory?
No, absolutely not. No. Big Bang Theory just was like, oh, it's a show about a group of nerds.
Oh, got
right? But you really got to give the big credit to the comic book movie world, because it started hitting the pop culture zeitgeist. It wasn't just a regular thing. It wasn't just a small thing. It was like everybody, these movies become billion-dollar front movies. You had Blade movies back in the day. You had Spider-Man movies back in the day. You had Captain America movies back in the day, but they weren't making money. Then all of a sudden you started getting the X-Men movies making money. You get these things making money. You get Harry Potter making money. Star Trek is again bringing new shows back. Star Wars making money.
Yeah.
And so everybody is catching on, even people who weren't fans of them.
Got it. Well, that's the thing with the MCU. It's like I had seen some of the movies, but right before I moved to LA, I had to pack 7 years worth of stuff, from living in Chicago. So I had to pack all my stuff. So I went through, and while I was packing, I was like, well, the whole Infinity War is coming out. I'm going to watch them all in order. So while I was packing my stuff, I actually watched the MCU in release order.
You had time.
And then by the time it takes a lot to pack up your shit. But then I moved, and then I saw Infinity War, and after that I started seeing him really consistently until more recently I kind of got burnt out on him.
Well, I get a lot of people who say that because there's so much just to consume. And I hate to use the other C word, being content. There's so much to consume, but also for a lot of people I get when they're like, it feels like homework, that in order to understand certain things, you have to watch certain other things, which I get, but also one of my jobs, I'm fortunate for that the nerd world has allowed me to have this as a job where I get to cover comic book movies and TV shows. I get to talk about them.
You get to go to early screenings and stuff like that. That's awesome.
So yeah, I get to do things like that. So, watching all of it is a definite thing for me.
Yeah. Oh.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear. I thought I moved this. I just wanted to balance.
You're fine. I think, like growing up, I didn't really read that many comic books. I definitely graphic novels, and like there's a comic book more recently I read called 8 Billion Genies. Have you ever heard of this?
Never.
Okay, so imagine you're just hanging out in the world, and then suddenly like a genie pops up next to you and gives you one wish. You can wish for anything you want, but everybody else in the world, no matter the age, they also have a genie that pops up next to them, and they can wish for anything they want in the world. The first issue is the first 8 seconds. The next one's the first 8 minutes. The next one's the first 8 hours, and then it goes to 8 days, 8 weeks. It's very interesting.
That is the most terrifying idea in the world. Because us as humans, we think like this. Oh, if I had a genie, I get one wish. I'm thinking about that. But when you realize everybody else gets that.
Yep. And also kids, like a 5-year-old would get that wish too.
I want a dinosaur.
I want to be a cat. And then the cat, that's what my niece would wish. She'd want to be a cat. And then she would be a literal cat.
Yo, that would move. Because here's the thing. I guarantee you, the majority of people are going to wish for money, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is you're going to send the world into global chaos and ruin. Yeah. Because everybody in the world can't be billionaires.
But then you also got people that'll be wishing for things like, oh, I can fly, or I'm invincible, or I'm like they'll be wishing for all, and they can cancel each other out too, some of the wishes. But it's a fascinating series that came out a couple years ago.
You get a genie, but everybody else get a genie.
Yeah. And
there's got to be a rule where you can't wish for certain things, right?
No, I don't think that there's any rule about that. Like, because the beginning of each issue shows what the world physically looks like. Because like sometimes it's shaped with a big smiley face. Sometimes it's got a big part of it taken out. It's very interesting.
Yo, I would pray I get the first wish. I wish no one else can make wishes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
this.
You can't wish for more wishes. That's one of the rules.
No.
But, yeah.
I'm not wishing for more wishes. Uh-huh. I'm wishing to take away everyone's wish, and that's my one wish. Everything, because this way you do not allow anything to happen.
Yeah.
Because if you know that, man, the world already is chaos.
It is chaos. It's still makes me think we're in a simulation a little bit.
Why do people think that?
Because too many crazy things happen, and it's like if you ever played The Sims, you got the point where you take the ladder away. You just
I've played it. I played it once. I played it once or twice. Let me be honest. And this was years ago. At
some point, you might get a little bored with everything going well with your little sim, and so you just have him swim in the pool, and you take the ladder away. He's just swimming and swimming and swimming until they get exhausted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So answer me this: how does that correlate to life as we know possibly being a simulation?
Oh well, we think we had a reality star as a president that kind of fucked up a lot of things.
We had an actor as a president before. That messed up a lot of things.
Yeah, but at least he had a little bit more. I mean, he did mess. Yeah, the trickle down shit was not good.
Don't get me wrong. I hate the orange fuck muppet with a passion.
Yeah.
I felt like, and I'm not a fan of the other dude in office. I feel like at a certain point, we need to have an age limit to how old you need to be.
Or at least, actually, maybe there needs to be a test, like like how you have to take a driver's test again. Like there should be a competency test at a certain age, maybe.
Not even just that. Not even I hear you, but I just think nobody over a certain age should try to govern everyone.
Because all the things that you're putting into place aren't going to be implemented. You're not going to be around to see them. That's the problem with Congress right now.
You're not going to be around to see them.
All the people that are there, our Congress is old as fuck.
Yeah, and they all will say that no matter what political affiliation anybody has, they all say, well, I'm trying to do this for my grandkids. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Because you're just doing things to make you comfortable.
Yeah, because if you cared about that, then you'd start doing universal basic income on a larger scale because nobody can afford shit right now.
Look, inflation is a thing we've always dealt with inflation, right? I've always paid attention to a little bit of economics in a sense of, I have a business degree. Inflation has always been a thing. It has gotten to an extreme point now. Now people want to say, well, it's such and such administration. I'm like, you do realize we're still dealing with the effects from COVID. Mm-hmm. With supply, supply issues and stuff like that.
But the grocery stores and stuff, they artificially shot that shit up on purpose.
Look, I remember McDonald's told people we can't raise the price of we can't pay our staff more money because if we pay our staff more money, then we're gonna have to raise the price of food. Mm-hmm. They didn't pay their staff more money, but still raise their prices.
That's what I mean.
So like a lot of these companies, corporations are full of shit. There's a bird flu epidemic right now in a lot of chickens, which are making the price of eggs go up. There's certain factors in certain things, but that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. But yeah, so
yeah, but yeah, I think I would like to. I'd probably wish for something other than money because money just seems like it would change so much. Yeah,
I've always thought about that. If you wish for money, I feel like you're setting yourself up for something.
Yeah,
something's gonna go wrong because you have to. There's this rule of you have to be super specific what you want. So if you say I want $1 million, there you didn't say how you're gonna get $1 million. When or you want $1 million right now. You don't know if it's $1 million that's illegal, whatever. So there's consequence. I always think about that when people say the thing about wishes. Because I've also, like I said, I've seen the movies. It's like you need to be specific. So you be like, yo, I need $1 million that is declared tax-free, no blah, blah, blah.
Legal.
You got to legal.
Yeah.
You got to go down the whole stretch.
Yeah.
Because that's how. Have you ever seen the movie Wishmaster?
No.
It's a horror movie. I'm a horror movie fan. But it's about this. The genie is of a legit myth called the Jinn. Mm-hmm. And according to the myth, so we made the genie this happy-go-lucky thing. Robin Williams, Will Smith, Barbara Eden. We made the genie that. The Jinn are actual evil creatures.
Yeah.
The Jinn grant wishes, but the problem is you need to be specific
because they're going to make it as horrible as they can,
as horrific as possible.
Yeah.
So you want $1 million. Your family member has a life insurance policy worth $1 million. And you're the beneficiary. Yeah. Now you get the $1 million.
Yeah, or something fucked up like that. Or it's like, hey, you get $1 million, but it's illegal money.
So now you don't get. Yeah, now you fucked. Now you screwed. So that's the thing. You got to be specific. I want $1 million that didn't come from any illegal sources, has been declared by the United States government. The taxes have been paid on it. I don't owe this to anyone. This is my financial freedom. I am good with this $1 million. There are no backlashes to it. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, all right, I got $1 million sitting in the bank.
In U.S. currency.
$1 million U.S. dollars. Now, just my luck, the next day, the dollar go down to zero. Now I got $1 million pieces of paper.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. That is... Yeah, you got to be really careful what you wish for.
You got to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I guess you do think about all the loopholes and stuff with all the shows you see.
Yeah, it makes you think about a lot of stuff because we think of things with having a level of ease, if you will. We think of things being able to be done so swiftly.
My life would be so much easier if this, or, it's the kind of what if thing.
Nobody ever thinks about that. We always say that one thing, my life would be so much easier if I had $100,000. Mm-hmm. If you had $100,000, is it $100,000 after taxes? You got to think about. I'm thinking about all those things.
Oh, wow!
Because you get $100K, now all of a sudden you didn't trigger IRS alarms.
Oh, yeah, man! I didn't think about all that stuff.
See, that's how my brain works a lot of times. That's what happens when you don't sleep.
Yeah, you can't stop thinking.
Can't stop thinking.
But yeah, no, you did this podcast back when I did this in Chicago, back in my bed in my apartment then.
Yes.
Many years ago.
Yes.
You've been doing a bunch of different podcasts now too. You got the
Yeah, I've been doing so much. I'm sorry. I'm tired myself, as we can tell. I've been doing so much, and I'm grateful. I'm fortunate. I'm blessed. I'm immensely blessed. There's the Black Boy Content Club podcast, where we've just expanded that into a full network. Mm-hmm. So now we have 3 shows. We have a 4th one coming. There's Before the Bell.
Oh, you got Fatima host one.
Fatima has one. Fatima Talia and Alicia Taylor have the Girls Want to Know podcast. And then there's the Before the Bell podcast. That's the wrestling one myself, Martin, and Clayton Thomas do. And so doing those two and then helping to run the network and helping to make sure that builds and grows and expands and making sure things are, working well on the YouTube channel and everything's getting out. If there's going to be an audio feed of those different things, doing that has been a lot as well, on top of everything. And I'm about to bring back my Mad Titan podcast, my nerd podcast.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to bring that one back. And so on top, it's just doing those. And then I'm debating if I'm getting back in the wrestling ring because I got asked.
Yeah, so the wrestling, that's exciting.
Yeah, I got asked to do it at the end of May. And I'm debating right now because I have to go see a vascular surgeon because I may have a twisted vein in my hip.
And you don't want to do it if you got...
Yeah, if I got this twisted vein in my hip because it's constricting blood flow in my leg. So I got to check on that first and make sure I can do it. But, pro wrestling was a part of my life for 20-something odd years.
How'd you get into pro wrestling?
I was a fan as a kid always. And my buddy Atlas he joined this organization
His name is Atlas? That's a badass name. That's like
Atlas.
a powerful name.
That's his name, Atlas.
Yeah.
He joined Windy City Pro Wrestling, and he was there for like a couple of years. And him and we used to play wrestle when we were kids and on lawns and stuff. And he tried to get me to train, but it cost too much, and I couldn't afford it. It was the training school was $2,500.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and it was like, well, you can do it. It can be $2,000 if you got $500 down. I was like, I don't have $5 down right now. So what are we talking about? And then he left there. Some things that happened there. He left there and went to another organization that started with some other former alum of Windy City Pro Wrestling, and they were training people for $40 a month. And so that's when I learned how to train how to be a pro wrestler. And so
now, is the training just the stage combat element of it, or is it also the character building?
It's everything.
Yeah.
So professional wrestling, people have seen this choreographed, yes, blah blah blah, but the impact, the impact of the moves, the athleticism is all real.
Oh no, it's totally.
There are no springs under the ring that people think. These are just steel beams and wood planks. That's all it is. People think, it's springs, and people no, it's not springs. It's not a trampoline. Mm-hmm. It's just the way the ring is set up. Jumping off the ropes and being able to do the flips in the air and the turns and things like that. But it is also the character development. It is also the being able to get over, as we call it, getting the fans to either love you or hate you, which is not easy at all. I've seen people who have tried to be a heel, the bad guy, and tried to make people hate them, and the people don't care.
Oh, they just don't care about the character.
They don't care.
Oh, that's interesting. So you see has the person come back as a different character?
Oh, yeah, that always happens. There's always going to be an evolution of characters where, one character isn't working for so long where you're like, oh, man, this character isn't getting over, so I got to figure out something to connect. And some people go through iterations of characters till they find something that connects, or they never find anything that connects. So then they have to see if it's something about them. They got to do some reevaluation. But yeah, it's learning the characters, it's learning how to deal with crowds. I always tell everybody, for me personally, pro wrestling is how I was so easily able to navigate the crazy world of stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. Because the businesses parallel each other.
They're kind of similar.
They're very similar.
Yeah. I think pro wrestling, it's got like such a big, I feel like pro wrestling is something that like all around the board people like, I feel like it's like very much.
It was always a thing in households, like during a Saturday morning, Sunday morning watching. And now as the companies, especially the WWE, being the biggest company in the world, a global conglomerate.
Yeah.
And now it has this impact, what it does. People are always watching. WrestleMania, in many instances, gets more views than the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah?
People who are pro football players end up going to WrestleMania. You don't hear many pro football players that aren't playing going to the Super Bowl.
That's true.
They might go to events around the Super Bowl. They're not going. You hear a wrestler every year, no matter where WrestleMania is, wrestlers are flying in from all over the world, but all other athletes as well. When it was here last year, it was crazy out in these streets.
Yeah. I mean, and you also think like wrestling's like a good way to also like pivot into like acting or comedy, because like you look at like John Cena, you know. I just saw a movie with him and Santino and
Ricky Snicky.
Yeah, that was a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun.
You get John Cena, you get The Rock, you get Roman Reigns, you get Ronda Rousey's done things. Because you're on TV every week as a character, you're making people love you or hate you. You got these fan bases, so yeah.
Yeah, and but you've always been the heel, right? Have you ever been the?
I've been the heel. I've been the baby face. I've been what's called a tweener, the way you're in between. You're like a good guy, but you can do bad guy stuff, and it all is for me based on. This is gonna sound so wild to say. It's based on my mouth because I can run my mouth.
Yeah.
Because the way I'm on a microphone. And so I can say,
so you're like roasting people.
I'm cracking jokes, doing promos, all these things. So it's always helped me out in that regard.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's awesome. It's been a while since I've been to wrestling. I went to a WOW thing like I think a year and a half ago or something, like downtown. That was fun. But I haven't. What's your character's name?
So when I started. Oh boy, this is gonna be great. When I started, I was doing a barefoot African gimmick in a dashiki. I was barefoot and face painted.
Oh wow!
Dead ass serious. That's when I started. That was 24 years ago.
Oh gosh.
Then I switched over to a militant type gimmick. But then from the militant gimmick, I was just trying to find myself, figure out who I was and who I am and things like that. Then I ended up becoming the Urban Gladiator.
Okay.
So the Urban Gladiator, Trauma was my name, and the Urban Gladiator was the moniker before it, was the thing I was just trying to, I was that person. But then it was like I was still trying to evolve as to who I could be. And I stopped when stand-up and acting started happening for me. So then when I moved out here, and then I picked wrestling back up, I was like, well, I can't go back to being Trauma. Mm-hmm. I just can't. So what's the next step? Well, Jay Washington is established. Mm-hmm. So you just bring Jay Washington to the wrestling world. Okay. So it's the Urban Gladiator Jay Washington.
Got it. So you're just like yourself, or a heightened version of yourself?
Very heightened version of myself.
Yeah.
When I'm in the ring, it's just having fun. And it's weird, too, because now when I'm doing shows in the Southern California area, some people will know Jay Washington, the stand-up. So
they might come to a wrestling show thinking they're going to see stand-up?
No, they just like, he's a comic.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, he's violent. And it's like, oh, yeah, you can see it. But also when he gets on the mic, he cracks jokes and stuff like that. And I have fun with the crowd all the time, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't ever done wrestling. I've done stage combat stuff, but like the whole wrestling lore, it seems really fun with the lore and the history and all the things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think people go a little bit harder with that than like a stage combat thing. Like they actually get hit, right? Or is it
you get hit. Yes. A lot of people think, now there's sometimes you're not trying to hurt anybody you're in the ring with, right? You're not trying to maim and just beat the hell out of somebody.
You're not like, I really want to kill this person.
Unless you dare times if you don't like somebody.
But there's is there any practice or choreography, or is it just all kind of improvised choreography?
The choreography is knowing how the moves flow and knowing that if somebody does this, it typically means they're going to do that next. That's really it.
Got it. Yeah.
That's really it.
Got it. But ahead of time, you know who's supposed to win, right?
Mm-mm.
No. Mm-mm. No, I thought it was.
Mm-mm. Nope.
No, so it's not predetermined.
In very, very few instances. Very, very few.
Okay.
I'm not going to give y'all all the secrets of the business, no.
Okay, fine. But yeah, versus like wrestling versus boxing, very different. I like wrestling because it's characters, it's like
yeah,
fun.
I mean, boxing has always had characters too.
Yeah.
If you look at boxing, UFC, all these things now, they are taking a lot from pro wrestling with the entertainment value, with the splendor and the decor and everything, the entrances. Now, there've always been these, but now they've gone above and beyond. They're even trying to run. There's been these angles and stories of people who just don't like each other, which have been a thing for a while. But now they're building a little more off of what wrestling is.
Got it. Well, that's good. You know, were there any other sports you played growing up?
I played football, of course. Yeah. I played football. I played. What else did I play? I did track and field.
Yeah.
When I was way, way smaller, and I just did the field.
You just did the javelin or
the shot puts and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember trying those for like in school, like just like learning about all that.
Yeah.
But,
I did those. That was it, really.
Yeah. And where were you born? In Chicago then?
Chicago boy. Yeah. Chicago boy, born and raised.
Just Chicago to LA. Have you ever lived anywhere else?
No. There was just literally one big city I've lived in different parts of Chicago, but I am literally a Chicago boy through and through.
Nice. And all your family's still there too, mostly?
Mostly, yeah. My uncles and stuff. My parents both passed. My brother's in Ohio. And so I have some cousins there and some aunts and uncles, but that's really it.
Yeah, it's good to have all family in like kind of almost the same area.
I mean, it's okay. I'm not a very big family person with my family in a sense. I love them, but I'm like one of those people sometimes I keep them at a distance.
Because a little too much drama, a little too much...
Just too much unnecessary headache.
Yeah.
And that's not saying all of them. Just not at all. It's just some, I feel like I'm not better than anybody. I just don't have to, sometimes we just don't want to deal with some drama and vibes that you may get off family. So I don't go around every single chance. So like when I go home, people are like, hey, you gonna come here? I'm like, yo, if you want to catch me on this show.
Yeah.
Because also, 9 times out of 10, when I go home, I'm going home to work.
Yeah.
I have not gone home just to go home in God knows how long.
When was the last time you took a vacation, Jay?
I've never taken one.
You've never taken a vacation in your life? Like, never just gone on a trip for yourself?
No.
Wow.
I've never had it because I've never been fortunate enough to afford one. The one time I tried to, I had a nervous breakdown. I mean, almost a little mental breakdown of sorts because I felt like I should have been working and doing other things. So I never got a chance to enjoy it, but I've never had a vacation like that.
And just FYI, Jay, I definitely had some times where I definitely could not afford a vacation and was not being responsible and just did it anyways.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who say that's one thing I hear a lot. People like just go, just do it.
That was in my early 20s. That was when I was allowed to be a little irresponsible. And it's like I had the money to do it, but just enough. Like I had to come back and immediately start working just to make up for it.
Yeah, I've never been on one of those vacations where I see people taking pictures and videos. I've never been able to say, oh, this weekend I'm going to Vegas just to go. Nope.
Where would you go if you could?
I honestly don't know.
You don't know? Well, I think LA is a vacation place for so many people anyways. People love LA.
But I didn't move it. I'm going to tell you something. This is a funny thing. I tell everybody, I haven't done like all the little nice little fun stuff to do out here because I tell everybody I didn't come to LA to do fun stuff. I came to LA to work.
But like there's a good like amount of like work-life balance that's like good for like your health, right?
No, absolutely. I agree. And I'm learning. The thing is, and I'm grateful for my therapist with that I'm learning to do that. Let me go back. I was gonna take a vacation for the first time in my life. I was gonna do it in 2020 for my 40th birthday. Aging myself real quick. I had done a Super Bowl commercial that year. I was making a nice amount of change. It was for a Super Bowl commercial that was for Facebook.
Oh,
so
okay.
it was going to be a big, high-paying commercial. I was going to have the money coming in. I was going to be good. I was going to be able to take myself on a vacation. Then the world went to hell.
Yeah.
The world went to hell. The commercial got pulled because it was about being outside.
Oh, no.
So my plans of trying to take myself on a vacation or doing anything got cut short. So I've been chasing the idea of doing that. A lot of people I know are like, yo, you just need a break. And I'm like, I know I do, but also it's just me. So, and I say that as, yeah, could I try to save up some money to probably take a break or something? Yes. Have I tried to do that? Yes. But there's also another factor a lot of people forget about me. I'm a father.
Oh, yeah.
I have 2 kids. So whenever I have something saved up, if they call, they get.
Yeah, that makes
They're
sense.
automatically going to get out of me because as a father, as a parent, I will go without so they have. So that's always been my thought process.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, I was joking with Martin and CT when we were doing an episode of the podcast. We were talking about how I don't have a video game system at all.
Oh, really?
No, because every time I thought I was going to buy one, my kids needed something.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have. And I know people are like, well, you got to do it for yourself. And I'm like, I want to, but I also have to remember, I also have to always be cognizant of they're going to need. And so that's the dad in me. Like, that's why I'm waiting on this. You know, I don't do things for my kids to expect anything because that's what I'm supposed to do. But I was like, yo, maybe God is going to be like, hey, I got a blessing for you. You've put in all this work. You've helped all these people. You've done all this. Here's this $20,000. Go just breathe for a second for a week. You know, something like that. So, yeah, again, going back to the original point, I want to take a vacation. I have never taken a vacation. When people like a vacation, I'll be like, what's that?
I mean, you could also start out with like baby steps, Jay. Like a baby step, like go down to like Santa Barbara or go to, Desert Hot Springs or something like that. And just take a night. Just take a night for you and just chill in a hot tub, relax for like a night. I think that might be a good baby step that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. That could maybe be big. Just my opinion.
Okay. No, not a bad opinion. Now, here's the fiscal brain of me trying to balance that. Gas is expensive as all hell. Santa Barbara is an easier drive than
Santa Barbara would be fine.
But Santa Barbara is also expensive. So even at 1 day cost, that 1 day is like $600 almost.
Yeah.
Like I get it completely.
Oh yeah. It does like add up. Like I said, I did my first real vacation that didn't have a family obligation and I tacked that on after a comedy thing. So I did that in September. So after the Fringe Fest, that I did the whole month there. Then I went to, traveled around Europe for 10 days, or 2 weeks. And that was something I hadn't done a vacation in years because it was the same thing. Because every time I was traveling, I was going to visit family. Because I'm the one that picked to move out here. So if you do decide to move away from family to like either the coast, it's like your obligation to go back home and visit everybody.
Right.
And so then you are spending your money around Christmas time. And so, yeah, I guess I did go several years without a vacation. And I just think going for my mental health, just going to explore the shit you want to see, going to see like historical things.
I do want to I want to go to like Hawaii. I want to go to Mexico. I want to see Italy.
They do shows in Hawaii. They do shows in English in Mexico, I think.
Oh yeah, I've seen all that. But that's the thing. Like if I know me, yes, I know me, and trying to find work is a thing.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to see what life would be like to go on a vacation, to not worry.
Yeah.
But if that's in the cards for me, I mean, I know I got to make it in the cards for me as well. I'm looking forward to that happening soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so too. Like,
Thank
that would
you.
be really, I think you do, because I like I said, my partner's a workaholic as well, and I'm trying to get him to understand the idea of vacation. He's in a wedding, which still doesn't count as a vacation, but we have to go to a place that's not here to be in his friend's wedding. So it's like, okay, like let's try to like see if we can make it.
Yeah.
But it's a hard, especially like when you're so used to work, and again, like there are like. My dad, he probably will never retire because he enjoys his job, right? He's in his 70s, early 70s. But he probably won't retire because he loves his job, but he made sure to try to take vacations when they could,
Yeah.
And try to be off work, although you'd still probably take a couple calls or do a couple things. But I think it's just really good just to be able to and also solo trips. If you do get to do a solo trip, they are actually really fun because you get to do what you want to do when you want to do it. If you want to go to Italy, check out the museums, or if you just want to go to Italy and drink and eat all the pasta, you can just do what you want, which is fun.
You got me thinking again. Those are things I want to do. I do. I know I have to budget for them.
Yeah.
And I'm, again, we're all we're all out here pinching pennies.
I know, it's hard.
So it's difficult.
I guess for me, I'm somebody who I like to think about like something I want to do in the future, and it's like a good goal for me. It's like, oh, I want to be able to earn this much so I can go to this place again.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, I think for me, it's like I love to kind of daydream fantasize about like my next trip or my next thing I want to do, or like because I want to do Edinburgh again in 25, and I'm like, oh, where do I want to go after that? You know, because you're over there. So it's like for me, I think it's motivational for me to think about what's the reward I give myself later.
Okay, I got you.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So that like I'm not trying to push you either way.
No.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense.
Because I see Jay Washington working real hard, and I think you deserve a rest once in a while.
Yeah, yes, he does.
Yeah.
This bed is very comfortable. That's how much of a rest he deserves.
Exactly. But yeah, I think it's just good for your just energy, just a refresh too.
Yeah, I know. I know, and as stubborn as I am.
Yeah.
As stubborn as I am, and as stubborn as I can be, and as work oriented and goal driven and focused as I can be, I do understand and I do know what is needed for me as far as the rest, the break, the recharge.
Yeah.
So I absolutely do.
Yeah. Well, we are starting to wind down the podcast a little bit, so I do always ask people what your dreams are for the future. Take that any way you want.
Wow.
I know, this is almost like the genie thing, so.
No, it's funny because it was this kind of is a offshoot of a conversation I was just having with my therapist today. And for me, one of my biggest dreams, and it's such a vague statement, it's such a broad statement at the same time, is to be happy.
Okay.
I have so much stuff coming up that I just want to be happy about.
Yeah.
I don't want to just look at it as a work thing or a career thing. I just want to be able to look at it and be happy.
Okay.
I want my dreams are to be happy and successful for not just myself, for my kids and their kids. My dreams are to know that I'm making my parents proud. My mom passed in 2007. My dad passed in 85.
Wow.
Neither one got to see me accomplish any goals, really. And my dream is to know that they are happy with what their son has accomplished.
Well, you have accomplished a lot so far. You got some big things coming up. I'm excited about that.
Thank you.
But that's a really great statement. I think that's a really good goal.
Thank you.
And I think they would be proud.
Thank you. I hope so. I mean, I can only hope and pray in that regard. Yeah. So, man, that made me think.
Yeah.
That made me think. I almost got me emotional here. Shouldn't have got emotional.
Getting emotional in the bed. Usually different emotions are felt in the bed. But
I mean, this is true.
Yes.
But.
If you could let people know where they can find you, and I know you got a big show coming up.
Yeah, I can be found on Instagram and TikTok primarily. Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You shouldn't know how to spell Washington. I always say. Be surprised how many people don't know how to spell Washington. May 11th is the biggest thing I got to come up. I'm fortunate enough. I am blessed. I am highly excited. I'm headlining an evening of the Netflix is a Joke Comedy Festival. I have my own. They gave me my own headlining night, May 11th at the Westside Comedy Theater in Santa Monica, 7 p.m. Tickets are probably going to sell out. No, they're going to sell out. It's damn near close. So I have a link to that in my bio on my Instagram page, so you can do that. I got to revamp my personal website. I'll have all the links to the podcast and everything. All that is available on my IG link. But it's my May 11th show, 7 p.m., Westside Comedy Theater for the Netflix is a Joke Festival. I have busted my ass for years to just feel validated in my career by one of these entities, one of these big entities, and I finally feel it's happened with the Netflix thing, and it's a matter of just continuing my faith and my belief that this will just catapult higher and further. So that's really it.
That's great. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we always end by saying good night. So good night, everybody. Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Jay Washington. Jay has a show for Netflix's A Joke Fest at the Westside Comedy Theater on Saturday, May 11th. Be sure to check that out. I think there are just a few tickets left. Also follow Jay on all social media at Mr. J Washington on TikTok and Instagram, and check out his podcast, Black Boy Content Club Pod. If you like the podcast, please follow Sleeping with Sarah on YouTube and TikTok, and Sleeping with Sarah Pod on Instagram. Big shout out to my team, especially Alex Garcia and Patrick Sugar, and thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Sarah Albritton on Instagram and Threads, and at Sarah Albritton Comedy on TikTok, or go to sleepysarah.com for upcoming shows. I'll be releasing a podcast every other week, so tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Until next time, good night.